CIL 650 presents It's Your Money, an up-close and personal look at your finances. Here's your host, Fred Snyder.
Up in the morning and out to school. The teacher is teaching the golden rule.
That is the golden rule. Off to school. We are back once again to talk about your money, and more importantly about your money and how to keep it. We don't do a very good job of that, and it's our job, my mission, to teach you what you need to know so that you can make better financial decisions and keep more of your hard-earned money. We don't do a very good job of that, generally speaking. We look at the population in general. We work a great many years of our lives. We go to school learning how to earn money. And we earn a lot of money. We earn a small fortune. And we end up broke. That is terrible. That's awful. Why is it? You know, I've been rich and I've been poor, and I'd rather be rich. And I've asked people about money, and they say they don't care about money. And I say they lie about other things. Okay? The fact of the matter is we all care about money. If I said to you, I'm going to give away $1 million on this radio show today, and mind you, I'm not. But if I said that, the lines would be ringing off the wall. Okay? Just a matter of motivation, ladies and gentlemen, listeners out there. So again, I'm certified financial planner Fred Snyder, also registered financial planner representing Scotia McLeod. My mission, my raison d'etre, is to teach people what they need to know to make better financial decisions, to elevate your financial IQ. And a good way to do that is just to listen to this show. You get all kinds of tips. So once again, we take your calls. We like to have conversations with you, our listeners. And I'm going to give the numbers out right now. I suggest you get a pencil, a pad, make notes, and write the numbers down. The number to call is area code 604-280-0650. If you're calling long distance, it's 1-877-280-0650. You can log on. This is a webcast, www.cil650.com. So you can see our charts and graphs and everything else. It doesn't matter where you are in the world, as long as you can get an internet connection, you can log on, www.cil650.com. Now, there are those who are shy, or those who just want to get right down to business, want to make an appointment to get a second opinion on their investment portfolio, second opinion on your investment portfolio, a written financial plan, get their questions answered, whatever it might be. You can call Frida. Frida's down at the office right now, and you can reach Frida at 604-737-3512. 604-737-3512. If you're calling long distance, 800-661-1495. Don't forget to push the 1 ahead of that one. So it's 1-800-661-1495. Again, I'm certified financial planner Fred Snyder, also registered financial planner representing Scotia McLeod. And my mission is to teach you what you need to know to make better financial decisions. And that's exactly what we'll do on this show. So again, we want to take a look at our internet connection. You can go on the internet, and you can access my webpage, all kinds of interesting information there. And again, in terms of opening comments, I'd just like to say a few things. So they're coming up here. So we're talking about what is financial independence. That's what we do on this show. We teach people how to become financially independent. But what is it? It's a fact that everybody wants to be financially independent, but you ask them, what does that mean? And they can't tell you. When are you financially independent? How do you define it? You could ask 100 people for a definition of financial independence. You get 100 different answers. But most of us would have some common objectives. One of them would be an early retirement. Most people want to retire early. Not everybody, but some. Some would want to belong to the most exclusive club in town. Kind of a bit of an ego trip. Some would want to travel. Some would want to set up a trust fund for the kids. Some would want a vacation home, either at Whistler in the warm south. Whatever it might be, these are all objectives. These are your hopes, your plans, your dreams, and your ambitions, and most of us never achieve them. We want them, but we never achieve them. A wise man once said that having is the result of being. So if you want to have, you must become. If you become, you'll attract these things. Just having these things, they're hard to hang on to if you don't deserve them. You get yourself a beautiful 40-foot yacht. You don't have the income to support it to be able to pay for mortgage and repairs and all the rest of it. You're not going to have it for very long. So in order to have, you must become. Now, I could talk about becoming for ages. But it's not, I want to try to keep it simple. So when we talk about becoming, we're talking about becoming the kind of a person who makes a lot of money, knows how to save and invest, knows how to spend less than they earn, aren't tempted to spend more than they earn, aren't tempted to rack up their credit cards, their lines of credit and things like that. That's the kind of a person that achieves financial success. So you need to become that kind of a person, and the best way to do that is to learn. Okay, that's what it's all about. So once again, let's talk about, let's just go to the webpage. So if you go to the webpage, the webpage address is www.fredsnydergroup.com. You can go to the webpage, and there's all kinds of information on the webpage. There's research reports. You can get a report on the market itself. I'll talk about some of these things today. There's all kinds of financial tips, all kinds of information on the web. So once again, it's www.fredsnyder.com, or fredsnydergroup.com, I should say. Okay? So log on. But in the meantime, give us a call, 604-280-0650. Long distance, 877-280-0650. Frida down at the office, area code 604-737-3512. Long distance, 800-661-1495. Let's share this hour together. Let's talk. Okay? I'm just talking to a naked microphone here right now, looking at a computer screen. That's boring. I want to talk to you about your money. Maybe you're a client already. Maybe you're thinking of becoming a client. Maybe you're worried about your finances. Maybe you're worried about your financial plan. Maybe you're worried about your financial advisor. Do you have the right advisor? All these and much, much more are the questions that ought to be running through your head. So you can go to the webpage. You can check up on the markets. There's all the various markets that are available. I'm not going to spend time going over the markets right now. You all know that the markets are kind of booming right now. They're doing well. The Dow is pushing 18,000 once again, and the outlook for the markets is pretty good. And Europe and the other parts of the world are starting to engage in increasing the money supply, just like the States did. And that's good for all markets. So if you have an account right now, your account should be doing well, especially if it's tilted in favor of the United States. All kinds of information there. So once again, on this show, if you call, we give you a second opinion on your investment portfolio in writing. There is no cost, there is no obligation. You get a written financial plan. Once again, there is no cost, there is no obligation. It covers your income, your expenses, creates a budget within the plan, your assets, your liabilities, your insurance, the insurance you need is analyzed, everything that you want to know. And if you're out there and you're a high net worth person, you don't think you have any financial problems? You sure as heck do. Because when you die, you're faced with what they call a deemed disposition, which means you got to pay capital gains taxes. So you got this horrendous tax bite on your death. That happens if you don't have a surviving spouse. So let's say you have $500,000 in an RRSP and you don't have a surviving spouse. You die, the government's going to take about $250,000 in tax right off the top. Your kids won't get that. Let's say you have a business, no survivors, okay? Again, the business is deemed to be sold. The government says, let's pretend you sold your business. If you sold your business, you'd have to pay $2 million in capital gains taxes. So let's pretend, but send us the money anyway. I know we're only pretending, but we want it anyway. They deem that you sold it, even if you didn't. So your executor on your death is going to have to come up with some cash if you're high net worth. And don't tell me these aren't problems, because if you plan on building this fabulous business that you have and making this your number one main asset and then passing that on to your children, you got to be careful how you do it, or you're going to be faced with a huge tax bite. So let's say that your income gets up over $70,000 because of RIF payments from your RRSP and things like that. Now you're faced with a clawback. They claw back the old age pension. And by the time your income gets to $120,000, the whole complete old age pension is gone. And if you're in the lower brackets, they claw back the guaranteed income supplement. So how do you avoid these issues? How do you mitigate your income tax? How do you ease the tax bite? Okay? Because it's an important consideration. You know, I oversimplify when I say that if you could get a guaranteed return of 10%, don't ever tell anybody I said you could, because I don't think you can, guaranteed at 10. But let's say you could. And if you perceived that it was perfectly safe and you could get 10%, you'd probably put all your money in there. But if the 10% comes in the form of interest, it's taxable. And the income tax on that would be half of it. So now your real return is 5%. You gross 10, and again, I say often, it's not how much you make that counts, it's what you keep. You gross 10, but you only keep 5. And do you really keep 5? If you adjust the 5 that's left for inflation, which is estimated to be around 3%, your real return is 2% after taxes and inflation. So your gross return is 10. Your money is really growing at 2%. Write that down. Let it sink in, because that's called going broke safely. You got to think about it. You got to think about the investments that are out there. We're going to do a case study later on in the show, and we'll talk about investment portfolios and things like that. But again, very, very important. So again, how do you learn more? How do you learn to get the best investments? Well, you get a financial plan. You get a financial advisor to help you select the products. You read a lot of books. There's all kinds of books that are available out there on how to invest and everything else. You attend one of my workshops. You should call Frida right now and say, I want to attend one of Fred's workshops, and put your name in the queue. Because when we get about 50 names, we're going to have a big workshop. And that workshop is going to be about financial mathematics. So if you want to learn the mathematics of investing, that would be a great workshop for you to attend. Okay? Newsletters will be on my webpage. So get used to my webpage. Good place to go. Okay? So what are your questions? What are your comments? Give me some encouragement by making some phone calls. I don't want to just talk to myself here on this show. I want to talk to you. And I want to talk to you about your money. Okay? So once again, you're listening to AM 650. That's Sea Isle. I'm certified financial planner Fred Snyder, also registered financial planner. And again, my mission is to teach people what they need to know to make better financial decisions. We talk a lot about this thing called a financial plan. Now again, I could do a whole show, and I'm not gonna, so relax. I could do a whole show on a written financial plan. But there's a picture of a financial plan. It's a book. It's a blueprint for financial success. And it's divided into sections. It's got a section regarding required education. Why is that first? Because I think the main reason why people fail financially is lack of knowledge. So financial education would come first. The second is goals. What are your goals? What is it you want to achieve? I just want to be rich. Well, you tell me what rich is, and I guarantee you won't give me a very good answer. You got to be specific. So what to you is rich? So how do you define your goals, your hopes, your plans, your dreams, and your ambitions? What are they? Are you achieving them? Success is the progress that you make towards those goals. Failure is the opposite. You're going backwards. You're frustrated. It's regression. Last year, your net worth was $600,000. This year, it's $400,000. That's sad. If this year it was $800,000, that would be good. That's progress. Okay? So success is the gradual realization of worthwhile goals and objectives. They don't necessarily have to all be about money. They may be health. They may be mental, spiritual, it may be social, whatever. All these issues. But you need to define your goals. Because without goals, you're like a ship without a rudder. You're lost. Okay? So education is first, goals are second. Third is, okay, where do I stand right now? That's an evaluation of where you stand right now. That's a set of financial documents. It's a balance sheet. It's a operating statement, which defines your income and your expenses. It's like a budget. Okay? Where do you stand right now? Where should you stand right now? What does it look like? What do the numbers look like? I had a situation yesterday. I had a person in my office that has a life insurance policy. The premium is about $100 a month. It's going up to $500 a month on the renewal date, which is in a week or two. Doesn't have the money. Just retired. All of a sudden, he's got an additional $400 a month in expenses just because of the increase in his life insurance. He's paying too much for the wrong kind, and it's too late to fix it. So where are you at with your life insurance? Are you paying too much for the wrong kind? Time to get a second opinion. Time to make an appointment. Time to call Frida. Reach Frida right now at the office, 604-737-3512. She'll be down there, and she'll be there again tomorrow because there's a replay of this show tomorrow. So again, you miss her today, you can get her tomorrow. Make an appointment. No cost, no obligation whatsoever. Find out what your finances look like. And don't be afraid to check them out, because better to find out now than the day before you want to retire. Maybe you can fix it. And you probably can. So 604-280-0650. Long distance, 877-280-0650. Log on, www.cial.650.com. Frida down at the office, area code 604-737-3512. Long distance, 1-800-661-1495. So again, we covered 3 steps: education, goals, evaluate where you stand right now. The next one is cash management. Now, I'm going to just oversimplify that. Make sure you don't have a deficit. Don't be broke on payday. Okay? Make sure that there's something left over at the end of the day so that you can pay yourself first. That's what we're talking about when we talk about cash management. You have a surplus. You don't spend 100% of what you earn. Pay yourself first. Part of everything you earn is yours to keep, and it's your responsibility to make sure that that happens. Let's talk to Helen from Richmond. Helen, welcome to the program.
Hi, Fred.
Hi, Helen. How you doing?
I'm good. I just wanted to say thanks for coming all that way in the rain to give us your advice.
It is miserable out there. I say it's great weather for ducks.
I'm at work. I just wanted to ask you, if women live until they're 85 years old on average, what age do you think is a good time to put your property in, joint names with your children?
Well, I think if the reason for putting the property in joint names with your children is to avoid probate fees and all that kind of stuff, I think the sooner the better, because you don't know when you're going to die.
Well, no, you don't. But, you've got a good idea, and I just think
if it's a good idea to do it at 85, it's a better idea to do it at 80 or 60.
Well, I'd agree with that. But if you're in your 60s, then I think it will complicate my kids,
It might. There's trade-offs involved. Okay, when you do that, let's say, for the sake of simplicity, you have one child, we'll say a son, and you put your house jointly with your son. And your son gets married, and it's a bad marriage. And then they split up. Then the half of the house that belongs to your son would have to be shared with his divorced wife.
Yeah, I realize that, but I've got a great son-in-law. I do.
Well, you know, these are always difficult questions, and these are questions which need to be weighed, and that's why you need a financial coach. That's why you need a financial advisor to help you weigh those questions. I mean, there's always a pro and there's always a con to everything. You got to look at both sides of it. But there is no pro or con to getting a financial plan or a financial planner. Okay, there's no downside on that one because it doesn't cost anything, and it lays your situation out so it's easy to understand.
I wanted to ask you, do you think most people have life insurance?
Most people have some form of life insurance because if you have a job, you probably have group insurance on the job.
Yeah, I do.
If you have a car loan, you probably got insurance on the car at the bank. But generally speaking, people don't have enough life insurance, and if even then, they have the wrong kind. They pay too much for the wrong kind of life insurance. Like renewable term is cheap in the beginning, horrendously expensive at the end. Okay? Then they have a whole life policy that got huge cash values in there, that the only way to get the cash values out is to borrow the money and pay interest on it, or cancel the policy and lose the death benefit. And you need the death benefit, all the time. Yeah. Life insurance is a complicated issue, and it needs to be looked at on an individual basis. Every single situation like that needs to be looked at. And when you buy life insurance, you should shop the market. Don't buy life insurance from a captive agent who is forced to represent one company. Okay? Like I'm fully licensed to handle life insurance, and I'm independent. I represent all the companies, and I can shop, and I can do a quote. So if you come to me and you say, I want $100,000 of joint first to die life insurance, term to 100, I can shop the market, and I can get quotes from a dozen different companies. And you can yourself, actually. Anybody listening to the show, you can Google that, and I think it's term and then the numeral 4 sale. And I think that's the webpage. You click on that, you can get a quote yourself. Yeah.
Well, thanks, Fred. I was going to tell you, too, that I did phone Frida, and I put us down for your class, so we're ready anytime they start. So
well, that's good.
Looking forward to it.
Okay, and what advice would you give our other listeners, Helen?
Well, to phone and get you for a planner.
You've attended my workshops in the past.
I have, and they're very good, and I'm looking forward to coming again.
Helen, thanks very much for your call. I appreciate it. And enjoy the rest of this super wet weekend.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Fred.
Okay, Helen, take care.
Later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, Helen's line is now vacant. It's open. So if you're out there, you're listening to the show, it's time to make a phone call. Get on the line and give us a call. We want lots of calls here. Make me work hard. Okay? Okay, so we talked about cash. And the next one is number 5, and it's called risk management. As we were just talking about, life insurance is part of risk management. What are the risks? What if you're on an airplane, you go to Australia, and you have a heart attack, and you end up in an Australian hospital for 6 months? How much will that bill be, and how does it get paid? Do you have travel insurance? Maybe you heard the case recently of the lady who was pregnant, and she ended up in a hospital in Hawaii, and the hospital bill was almost $1 million. And she thought she had proper travel insurance, and they wouldn't cover it. I don't know if that's ever been straightened out yet or not. I haven't heard any more about it. But that was headline news not too long ago. So risk management. What if you come home one day and your spouse has walked out, disappeared, vanished, took off with somebody else? What happens? What happens if you lose your job? Let's say you got a $100,000 a year job and you get fired, or laid off, or downsized, or the company decides to close their doors. That ever happened to you? Do you know anybody else that's happened to? What does that do to your financial situation? Okay? So what are all the risks? What about death? What about disability? What about critical illness? What are some of the things that can destroy your financial plans, that can knock you right off the tracks? And how have you provided protection for yourself to cover those eventualities? Let's talk to Aidan from Vancouver. Aidan, welcome to the program.
Hello?
Hi, Aidan. You're on the air.
Yeah, well, I want to talk about titles of property.
Yes.
Something sensible. Like, I've been living in a house for a long time, and my landlady and her daughter were on title under joint tenancy.
Mm-hmm.
Understand?
Yes.
Now, the daughter had a boyfriend that she kicked out, and she couldn't get him out of the house, and he kind of coerced the mom, got a half-brother involved, coerced the mom to go to her lawyer and do a will and sever the title, it's called. Understand? She severed the title and done a will and gave away her half without the daughter knowing. Understand?
Yeah, I understand.
Now, that lawyer that done that will, he should have told the daughter that the mom was severing the title and giving away her half. And the ex-boyfriend is on the mom's half for a third. And then he's going after the daughter for half of her half.
Yeah.
That lawyer, he should be barred. The BC Law Society should bar that lawyer.
Well, I'm not. You see, that's beyond my scope. I'm not a lawyer. That is a job for a lawyer.
Okay, well, the next time maybe you can get a lawyer on your show, and I can find out some better.
Well, I will have a lawyer on this show. I used to have one that I used to work with.
It's all over because there's a lot of people out here in British Columbia that don't know that about titles. Dirty estate lawyers. There's several of them in Vancouver. They're dirty estate lawyers.
Well,
that ex-boyfriend, he talked about his girlfriend's mom's will to that lawyer a year before she kicked him out.
If this woman had myself as a financial advisor before she changed the title, she should have talked to me.
Well, it's all done behind the daughter's back.
I know.
You know, and then the lawyers, it's a civil, or it's it's funny. The lawyer then, after the mom died, the daughter.
Listen, I have to be careful I don't give out legal advice on the air because I'm not a lawyer.
No,
but let me say this. It seems to me that if the daughter was on title, that somebody can't take her off. She owns the house, part of it.
Listen, you don't understand. The mom and daughter are on title under joint tenancy. If the mom dies, the house goes to the daughter.
That's correct. I understand that totally.
The house goes to the mom.
I understand.
The ex-boyfriend got kicked out. He got the half-brother involved, and he made the mom go to the lawyer and sever the title from joint tenancy to tenants in common, and the mom done a will and gave away her half, and the daughter finds out when the mom dies that she severed the title behind her back.
Job for a lawyer, not me.
What's that?
Okay, I will. I'll get a lawyer on this show. I have one. I have one on board. I think for next week.
The people out here to
Pardon?
know what can happen if you're on title with your mom and dad under joint tenancy. Dirty estate lawyers can tell ex-boyfriends or ex-girlfriends what to do, and then it's always too late when the mom dies. Look at the mess. This was $1 million property here. The daughter was going to inherit.
Yeah.
When the mom died, and now she's been fighting the will for 2 years, and he's finally settled. He settled out of court, right? Mediation, rather than go to trial.
Well, to me, the whole thing doesn't make a lot of sense. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but it does make a lot of sense to me that somebody can pull that.
A lot of people heard what I have to say.
Yeah, it's terrible.
There's a lot of people who heard what I have to say, and you're probably going to get more calls about this. If anybody's listening to your show today that are on title under joint tenancy and dirty estate lawyers, and then lawyers taking cases on contingency, right?
Oh, yeah.
Now, when it comes down to the clinch, or they back down, or they tell the client, or you're better off to settle out of court rather than go to court. You know, they lead them on. They're going to go to trial. This case here, I wanted this to go to trial and let a judge make a ruling on that will.
Sure.
You know? Okay.
Aidan, I can't tell you how much I appreciate your call, and I'm sure we'll get a lot of calls on that one.
Okay, I bet you will. Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks for your call. Okay, Aidan's line is now wide open. Excuse me. Get on the line and give us a call. We're talking about your money, more importantly about your money and how to keep it. There's a good example of how not to keep it. Okay? These things happen from time to time. But that one, that's a deep, complicated situation. That's a job for a lawyer, not for a financial advisor. And again, as a financial advisor, I have lawyers that I work with. There's several at Scotia McLeod. So if we need a lawyer, we can refer these things to a lawyer. That may be a case where that woman would like to come in sit down with one of our lawyers and have a consultation. No cost, no obligation. And I got to do a show on this particular topic. Joint, tenants in common, joint rights of survivorship. What are the different ways to own things, and what are the problems and bonuses and all the other things that you can get as a result of that? Have to go to the break. When we come back, we'll take more of your calls. Don't go away.
Fred Snyder.
I want people to call the show that are genuinely interested in increasing their financial IQ so that they can become financially independent sooner and stay financially independent longer.
Fred Snyder.
You don't have a blueprint. Imagine trying to build a house without a blueprint. And how about having a blueprint for your life? What are your lifestyle goals? You need to think about your family life. What are your goals about your family life? What are your lifestyle goals when it comes to health? What are your lifestyle goals when it comes to finances, mental and spiritual? You have to set goals in all those areas, not just finances.
Fred Snyder.
Often we fail because we put too much emphasis on one area and ignore everything else. We work our butts off and we ruin our health. So life is all about balance. So you need a life plan.
Fred Snyder.
Napoleon Hill says this, wrote the book Think and Grow Rich. Anything that you can vividly imagine, ardently desire, and enthusiastically act upon will inevitably come to pass.
Fred Snyder.
My goal, my mission is to help people enhance their financial IQs by teaching them what they need to know to make better financial decisions.
Fred Snyder, Saturday mornings at 8 and Sunday mornings at 10 on Smooth and Easy, CIL 650. This is CISL Vancouver. Smooth and easy. CIL 650. CIL 650. This is It's Your Money on CIL 650. Here once again is Fred Snyder.
Okay, we're back. We're live. Mind you, once again, we're talking about your money, more importantly about your money and how to keep it. We've been talking about the parts, the plans that are inside of a financial plan. Inside of a financial plan, you have a plan for education, a plan for goals, a plan to evaluate where you stand right now, and so on. So we were talking about risk management. Number 6 is debt. Now, again, I'm going to go fast. I could spend a lot of time on all these areas. I just want to overview this. But debt management is important. Let's say you have bad debt. What's bad debt? High interest rates, interest not deductible. Credit cards, things like that is bad debt. Good debt is maybe a line of credit, the interest is tax deductible. How do you convert bad debt to good debt? How do you get rid of bad debt? What's the plan to get rid of your bad debt and replace it with good debt? Or what's the plan to get rid of all debt? Very, very important topic. Getting rid of debt is a form of investment because it increases net worth. You look at the difference between your assets and liabilities. If you eliminate the debt, your net assets actually go up, or your net worth goes up. Number 7 is retirement planning. What's your retirement plan look like? Do you have one? You need to know how much money you're going to need to live on when you retire. That's another budget. So you got a budget for today, you got a budget for the day you retire. So when you retire, are you going to need $3,000 a month, $4,000 a month, $5,000 a month, $10,000 a month? I don't know. It's up to you. But you can define what you need in retirement. And then the next part of the question is, if you need $3,000 or $4,000 or $5,000 a month, where do you get the money? How much will Canada Pension Plan pay? How much will Old Age Pension pay? Do you have a pension plan itself? How much can you take out of your investments, and how long will your investments last? Will your investments live as long as you do? These are all issues which are defined. They're well defined inside your overall retirement plan. And then after that, what do you do with your surplus money? Let's say you're able to put $10,000 a year into your RRSPs, but you got $15,000 to save, so you got another $5,000. What do you do with that extra $5,000? Have you ever heard of the TFSA, the tax-free savings account? They should have called it the tax-free investment account, because people think they got to put it into a savings plan of some kind or another. It can be just like an RRSP. You can have the same investments inside your TFSA that you have inside your RRSP. And maybe if you're going to take a little bit of risk, this is the place to take the risk because it's not taxable. Whatever you make inside a TFSA, it's not taxable. Let's suppose right now you've never made a TFSA contribution. You'd be able to put $36,500 into a TFSA, you and your spouse. That's over $72,000. Let's say you did that. Let's say you get a return of 12%. I'm not saying it's guaranteed or anything like that. But if you did, you'd double your money in 6 years. So you just made $60-some thousand income tax-free in 6 years. So what you should do is put the $10,000 into the RRSP, save $4,000 or $5,000 in tax, take the other $5,000. That allows you to put about $9,000 into something else. And if you do that, make sure you max out on your TFSA. And make sure you have the best investments that are available inside the TFSA. That's what this show is all about. That's what financial planning is all about. That's what I'm all about. That's what the investment community is all about. It's getting the rate of return that you need. So what rate of return do you need to achieve your financial objectives? Do you know what that is? Have you done the calculations? If you haven't, you need to. So once again, 604-280-0650. Long distance, 877-280-0650. Read it down at the office, area code 604-737-3512. Long distance, 800-661-1495. Number 9 is the estate plan. Do you have a will? I'll bet you a lot of people listening to this show right now don't have an up-to-date will. I'll bet you a lot of people listening to this show don't even have a will. Well, let me tell you something. If you don't have a will, you do, because you have the one that the government writes for you if you die intestate. So there's the will the government imposes if one doesn't exist, and then there's the one that you write. So wouldn't you rather have some control over the dispersion of your assets when you pass away rather than have the government figure it all out for you? Get a will if you don't have one. You can write it yourself if you must. Come and see me, talk to me. Call this show and we'll send you a will kit. Explain how it works. Okay? Just takes a phone call. 604-280-0650. Long distance, 877-280-0650. And number 10 is as important as any of them. That's the review process. How often should you update and review? It's a regulatory requirement to do it at least once a year. Okay? And if you have a lot of money, you're high net worth, it probably should be done quarterly. Or if there's a material change in circumstances, or there's a material change in the markets that are out there. Lots of things going on in the world right now that get a little scary. So that's what I call the 10-step financial planning process. That's my process. It's copyrighted. Okay? And I think those steps are vital in the achievement of financial success. That's what a financial plan looks like. You don't have one? Let me tell you, you need one. And whether you implement it now, later, or never isn't important. What is important is that you get a plan so you can decide when and if to put it in place. And then get yourself a financial advisor like myself or somebody else to help you maintain the plan, keep it up to date, help you make modifications to it from time to time, because it is a dynamic document. Any questions on that? Give us a call. Again, we're talking about your money, more importantly about your money and how to keep it. So we talk about books. This is what I call my financial library. I've read all these books. They're great books. I could tell you lots of stuff. I could spend the rest of the show talking about these books. Don't want to do that. Overview. Because the key to the whole thing is you need to get a financial library. Remember I said earlier that having is the result of being? Reading these books causes you to become. In Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich, is probably my favorite book. That's my success Bible. Napoleon Hill says that anything that you could vividly imagine, you got to be able to vividly see it, vividly imagine, ardently desire. You got to really want it. So anything you can vividly imagine, ardently desire, and enthusiastically act upon, you must take action, will inevitably come to pass. So that means that you have to set goals. Remember in the financial plan we had a section devoted to goals. One of those goals should be to read a book at least once a month. Get the electronic version. They're all there, okay? So we got some fantastic links that are on my webpage. These are all links which will take you to all kinds of different places regarding money. The debt clocks, we can look at what the government is doing and so on. This is all information which is on my webpage. What I want to do here is look at a scenario. This is a scenario. This is a person who is age 60. And lots of you listening to this show may very well be age 60. Who wants to retire right now? They want an income of $40,000 a year. That's what they need. Now, at age 60, you can take the Canada Pension Plan early, but you don't get the old age pension until you're 65. There's no pension. They want 100% of $40,000. They want to be retired for 28 years, so that means life expectancy is age 88. 3% for inflation, and they've accumulated $200,000, and they can invest the money in such a way that they would get a 7% rate of return. Now, I've added 2% plus or minus 7. That means you might get 5, you might get 9. That's the variability index, 2%. So I can do the calculations on that and see if it works. So here's what it looks like. That person retired at 60 will be broke at age 65. Did you hear me? 5 years of income. There's the rest of the income that's needed, and there's no capital to support it. Runs out of money in 5 years. Wow. So how do you fix that? Okay. What's the answer? So we go back to the input sheet and we say, well, if he retired, maybe he can't retire at 60. So we say, okay, you retire at 65. It's not a realistic goal, so we put in 65. Annual income, we'll leave it at the same 40,000. Let's see what those numbers look like. So there's the accumulation period in green, and now the money will last until he's 71. But he'll be broke at 71. He'll probably still be alive. There's nothing worse than being alive and broke, especially when you can't work. Pretty scary. Okay, let's talk to Otmar from Surrey. Otmar, welcome to the program.
Right, good morning.
Good morning, Otmar. How are you?
Oh, well, good to be on the show. Listen, we touched base with you back in November '09.
Mm-hmm.
At that time, we didn't have a financial plan, or we didn't really know where we were going.
Yes.
But when we got in touch with you, the first thing you stressed is the importance of having a financial plan.
Mm-hmm.
And based on our input of our then current financial circumstances, you came up with a very detailed plan on our investment strategy, which now 6 years later still holds true and is working perfectly. So we are very grateful for that you did all the calculations for us and came up with a good plan.
How do I pay you for this information?
So, this is reality. This is what happened.
Otmar, I can't tell you how much I appreciate the compliment. That's very nice. So you've been a client now for 6 years. Yes. You're very happy, and the numbers are good.
Well, we're retired and we're doing good.
Yeah, that's what we talk about. Okay.
What more can you do?
I wish I had more calls like this one. But that's called a testimonial. Okay. Yeah. So Otmar, what advice would you give our listeners?
Well, I would say make an appointment and with Fred or with Freda and get yourself financially straightened out. Get a financial plan, find out what you need to retire.
Yeah.
And make sure you're going into the right direction.
Well, I think that's true. And just bear with me for a minute, Otmar. I just want to do one thing. I want to increase the rate of return on this illustration to 12%. And again, I'm just curious to see how long the money will last if we get a return at 12 instead of 7. So let's look at that. Now the money lasts to age 78. See, you got to play with those numbers, and you got to make sure that money lasts as long as you do. So you got to estimate your life expectancy at the start and say, well, I want the money to last till I'm 85. Yeah. So how do I modify that in order to make that work. So if I go back to the input side and I say, okay, let's say that the income I need is only $30,000. Maybe 40 is too much.
Mm-hmm.
So if I change the income to $30,000, let's see what happens now. Now the money lasts to 92.
Right. Because they lower your expectations a bit.
That's correct. That's exactly right. But you see, that's reality.
Yeah.
And if the rate of return was 2% greater than 12, the money would never run out. It goes up into the stratosphere somewhere. If you can see that line on the, I don't know how many people can see this screen that I'm showing, but that's the 2% extra, and that's the 2% less. If you get 2% less, the money lasts until 84. And if you get 2% more, it goes on forever. Never run out of money. So rate of return is the important thing, and that's the problem with people because they have portfolios that are not generating the returns that are necessary to achieve the financial objectives. And when you don't achieve your financial objectives, that's called financial failure.
Yeah.
Otmar, I can't tell you how much I appreciate your call.
Well, you got us into an investment which is quite solid, a Desjardins at that time, and like I say, it's great.
It was a fabulous program.
Fred, can I also make an announcement that our Vancouver Lyra Choir is hosting the 40th North Pacific Sängerfest on June 5th in Surrey at the Chantos Patterson Auditorium. And there will be 8 choirs present from various areas of the Northwest Pacific area, like Spokane, Portland, Seattle, Victoria, Kelowna, to name a few. If anyone is interested in attending this great event, the tickets can be had from Horst Zimmerman, number 604-371-2409, or go to the website, which is nordpacificsangerbund.com. Okay, Fred, thank you.
And Otmar, if you could call Frida and also give Frida that information and that brochure, then anybody who calls her can get it from her as well.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Okay? Okay, Otmar.
Thank you.
Thanks for your call. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of this miserable, wet weekend. It's terrible out there.
What can we do?
Yeah, you can't do much.
Thank you.
Otmar, thanks for your call. Take care. Bye-bye. Okay, Otmar's line is now open. And again, if you just tuned in, I'm certified financial planner Fred Snyder, also registered financial planner representing Scotia McLeod. And again, the number to call is 604-280-0650, long distance 1-877-280-0650. Remind you once again, we're talking about your money, more importantly, about your money and how to keep it. Key word is keep. Ask yourself this question: how long have I worked? I'm serious. How long have you worked? Write the number down. 10 years, 15, 20, 30. How much money have I made? How much money have I earned during my working days? And how much of that do I have left today? And am I happy with the answers? And the chances are you're not. And the chances are if you're not happy with the answers, it's because lack of financial education, lack of a plan, lack of knowledge, lack of financial goals. Time to make some changes. Albert Einstein once said that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over and over again, expecting somehow a different result. It isn't going to change, ladies and gentlemen and listeners out there, unless you make it change. You have to become proactive rather than reactive when it comes to managing your money. Let's talk to Kim from Surrey. Kim, welcome to the program.
Hey, good morning.
Hi, Kim. How are you?
I'm enjoying your show.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, good advisor.
Yeah, I'm having fun.
Yeah. I'd like to ask you, you say the market is good, but then, you know, the oil price dropped to below 50, and then the federal budget and even Alberta, they're saying no good this year.
Well, if you look at, it depends on which market you're talking about.
Yeah.
If you're talking about the Canadian market, that's a little more tentative, but the U.S. market is really booming right now. And again, if you measure the market and you measure the economic health The Dow Jones Industrial Average is almost back to its all-time high of around 18,000.
Yeah, and the thing is,
but it's been volatile.
What I'm saying is water is reached at the maximum high right now, and then with the Europe, the Egypt maybe break off from there, and then financial crisis. And how do you predict?
Tell me something. What was the Dow Jones Industrial Average when Obama was elected? Do you remember?
I don't know. I know this last year is a pretty good year.
Well, when the year that Obama was elected, the Dow Jones Industrial Average was 7,000.
Okay.
It's almost 16,000 right now.
Mm-hmm.
So the U.S. market has done quite well, but it's been volatile. Volatile lately because there's so much uncertainty going on.
That's why I'm worried, Yeah. I actually, my portfolio have a lot of the U.S. But then if you buying the U.S. and then use the Canadian dollar, and then the Canadian drop so much.
That's correct, and that's a problem because there's as much risk in currency as there is in the underlying investments themselves.
So what I'm saying, you're buying the U.S., and what do you think the Canadian will go down more? Or,
well, I don't know. It depends on energy. It depends on oil. like think about this. It costs about $67 to get a barrel of oil out of the ground from the oil sands that you can only sell now for about, 48. So why would they produce oil in the oil sands right now? Because they're going to lose money. It costs more to get it out of the ground than they can sell it for. So that's not going to fix itself until Saudi Arabia decides to shut the taps down. Okay, because they're producing an abundance of oil. The U.S. is now energy independent, so they say. And so there's a glut of oil, all right. All of a sudden we have an oversupply.
That's right.
And the price of oil isn't going to change until that shrinks. And I don't know when that is. It might be next week. It might be 2 years from now. Okay. Who knows? But everybody's hurting, especially in Canada, as a result.
That's right.
The whole energy sector is in serious trouble. But the price of gasoline has dropped so much as a result of that everything else is doing well. Mm-hmm. The cost of production is cheaper because the energy they need to run the machines is less costly. The transportation costs of goods and services is less because gas is way down. Gas in the States apparently is under $2 a gallon right now.
That's correct. Yeah.
But Kim, I can't tell you how much I appreciate your call. I got to move along. We're running out of time.
Okay.
Take care. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. I have Maria on the line from Vancouver. Maria, welcome to the program.
Good morning, friends.
Good morning, Maria.
Yeah, I just have a question about, when a company, I heard on the radio on Thursday, I think, the Canadian oil sands.
Yes.
Which has been, a good income producer but gives you good dividend for many years. Mm-hmm. And this year they cut the dividend and went down to very little, And I heard that they are going for creditor protection, which is similar to Chapter 11 in the U.S.
Yes.
But then the stock went down, and then it went up again next day. What's up with that? I thought when the companies are going to go for credit protection, they are going to go bankrupt, aren't they?
Well, it's a form of bankruptcy, yes. But the bottom line is simple. Mm-hmm. The only thing that ultimately, the thing that makes a stock go up or down is how badly do people want to buy it. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's a finite amount of stock out there. I don't know what the number is, but it's fixed. Mm-hmm. And if everybody wants to buy that stock, the price is definitely going to go up. Mm-hmm. But if half the people that are out there want to buy it and half the people that are out there want to sell it, it's going to be neutral. It'll achieve an equilibrium price. Mm-hmm. It's supply and demand that makes the price go up or down. That's what's happening with oil right now. So this stock that you're talking about, mm-hmm. if it went up in price, all of a sudden, maybe a lot of people wanted to buy it. I don't know if they're applying for creditor protection, mm-hmm. and especially in this environment, because the outlook for energy mm-hmm. on the shorter term isn't great right now. Mm-hmm. So I don't know.
Do you think these oil prices, it's been lower, almost close to 2009. Do you think it's going to be like this for a long time, or it should recover sometime sooner?
If I had to make a bet, I would say it's going to recover fairly soon. But that's just a guess, really. That's what my judgment would tell me.
Yeah, because I think, people haven't stopped, driving cars using oil, and that's what moves everything.
Well, I drive an electric. I have 2 electric cars in the family, and I use very little gasoline anymore, and I don't pollute the air. And I would think that everybody would be buying electric cars, but they're not. The electric cars are not popular.
Because they're quite expensive, and that infrastructure for recharging and all of that is not everywhere.
I have 2 of them, and I have no trouble with charging, not at all.
Oh.
I'm getting 250 miles to the gallon on my electric car.
Wow.
I put gas in it a month ago. I haven't put any gas in a month. And then it was only $10.
Well, if that is the case, then oil is going to stay like this forever.
Well, but that's only if people start buying electric cars. And then the cost of electricity will go up because of the demand on electricity is high.
Right. What are good companies for electricity here in Canada?
You see, this is economics. You got to remember, the economy is made up of sectors. In Canada, you have the banks, you have energy, and so on. There's not much you can invest in Canada. Okay? So the banks are doing well. Not as well now as they were. Energy is not doing so well because of the cost of oil. So everything else in Canada is good because of the low price of oil, but the energy sector isn't because of the low price of oil. Right. So what's the tug of war between those 2 extremes all about?
Okay, so when are you having your next workshop?
When I get 50 people.
When you get 50?
Yep.
So we have to register with Frida, right?
Register with Frida, yep.
All right. Thank you so much. You have a wonderful day. Nice show.
Okay, you take care, Maria. Bye for now. Okay, we're fast running out of time. I don't know why I got to sign off early here, but here we go. I'd like to thank everybody for participating in the show today. I'd like to thank the station for making the show possible. And I'd like to thank Dwayne for producing the show. Great show. And again, listen tomorrow. Got another hour of It's Your Money. Bye for now.
If you'd like Fred to review your portfolio, call his office right now at 604-737-3512. That's 604-737-3512.